everyone. This is part 8 of chapter 8. In this video, we're going to discuss parallel arrays, two and multidimensional arrays, accessing array components, and two-dimensional arrays initializing during declaration. So let's get started. What do we mean by a parallel array? Well, when two arrays have items that are related to each other, they are called parallel. For example, on this slide, we have two arrays. We have integer student ID with 50 elements and character course grade with 50 elements. Notice the data is a list of student IDs with their grades, and they need to be matched. I mean, if you were the first student with an A, and you wouldn't want to accidentally be swapped with the third student who has a C. So you need to make sure the correct elements in each array are linked together. So the index number is how we do that. We make sure they both have the same index number. So, for example, this student ID is index 0, and this letter grade is index 0. This would be index 1, and this would be an index 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you make sure each of these index numbers that represent each location in the array are the same. Okay, this slide talks about two-dimensional arrays. So what do we mean by two-dimensional array? Remember that an array is a list of items. To make that list two-dimensional, you would list down and across. Basically, a two-dimensional array is similar to a table. Think of a multiplication table. This is a two-dimensional array with data going down and across. So two-dimensional arrays are a collection of a fixed number of components of the same type arranged in two dimensions, down and across, sometimes called matrices or tables. Here's the declaration syntax. You have integer exp1 and int exp2. These are expressions with positive integer values specifying the rows and columns. So here's your data type. What kind of data is in this table, right? Integers, doubles, strings, right here. Here's your array's name, so that's a variable name. And then you have int express1, so this is your index, your first index for the rows, and this is your index for the columns, okay? So how would you access the array information? Well, here's the syntax. So you'd have the array's name, and then what row and what column you want, and that would take you to the information. So index exp1 and index exp2 are expressions with positive integer values, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to any number you want, and you specify the row and column. So here's an example: cells 5, 3. So whatever value is in row 5 and column 3, and it's 2575, and the next slide will show you what that would look like. Now notice those numbers, row 5 and column 3, these are the actual index values. So remember, there is an index value that starts with 0. All right, so we'd go down to row 5 and 3, and that's where the value would be. It's like a table. Two-dimensional arrays can be initialized when they are declared. So when you declare your array, you can initialize it at that time. Elements of each row are enclosed within braces and separated by commas. All rows are enclosed within braces. For number arrays, unspecified elements are set to 0. All right, so here's an example of a two-dimensional array that's being initialized. It's going to be full of integers, okay? The values are integers. The name of the array is board, and we have 4 rows and 3 columns. So we have 4 rows and 3 columns. You have completed Chapter 8, Part 9. In Part 10, you will learn about two-dimensional arrays and enumeration types, processing two-dimensional arrays, initialization, print, and input.